All right, greetings, everybody. Salutations, respect, and love. I am Scott. Today on the Sunday Prog stream, yeah, we're a couple seconds late. Actually, I was talking to Cody and Wayne a little bit. We lost track of time, so I apologize for that. All you people in the peanut gallery waiting so patiently, including the great Jeff Shilka. He's in the house. The Colonel Ed, he's here. Burger Show, the great Ian LaBelle in the house. So we'll try to keep everybody involved throughout this. It is a live stream after all, and we can't ignore the good people watching it in real time, watching it live. Wayne, how you doing, man? It's Christmas Eve. What do you got planned tonight and tomorrow?
Oh, not much. Just got have my mom and sister here, so just going to be pretty much doing finger food tonight and the big turkey dinner tomorrow and all the presents. Thought before we got started, I picked up this today from one of my Christmas gifts. So get to listen to the new Peter Gabriel. Excited for that.
Awesome.
And yeah, really looking forward to this stream because I think
yeah.
It's going to be very interesting.
We got third week in a row, Wayne, we got the great Cody Brockway from Brockway's Vinyl Bites. Cody, what's going on?
Thanks, Scott. Thanks for for bringing me on again.
Yeah, you did a great job the last couple times. So, we don't invite back bums, do we, Wayne?
Nope.
No.
Well, I'm glad to be here anytime you want. We're doing all good here. We actually just finished up the 12 Days of Progmas right on my channel, Brockway's Vinyl Bites, and we actually talked about that Peter Gabriel record that Wayne was just showing, and we talked about everything from the new Haken album to old Jethro Tull, classic to modern stuff. We did the 12 Days of Progmas from December 12th to
that was good. That was good stuff.
Thank you. Yeah, I got your comments, Scott. I really appreciated those.
I don't know if I watched them all. I think I watched like half of them. I'll get around to the other 6 or so. I guess there were 12, right? 12 Days of Progmas. So I'll get around to it. That's good stuff. What do you got planned on the channel after that big project you had?
Well, I'm planning on tidying up my room a little bit to kind of do another room tour video, because the last one that I got from my old house did really well on the channel, and so I want to do another one now that I'm in my new home. And sort of just, welcome the viewers into kind of what's going on in the man cave, listening room, et cetera, because I think people would really like to kind of see what's going on here. There's lots of music stuff, lots of cool posters and things like that. Might be interesting. Who knows?
Hey, Kyle was watching. He says the 12 Days of Progmas was awesome. No, he said it was fun. It wasn't awesome. It was fun, Cody.
Thanks, Kyle.
Big difference. Now, yeah, man. So it's going to be fun today. This was a great idea, Wayne. This came off the big brain of Wayne, and I really appreciate it. But nothing's new under the sun. I got to give credit where credit is due. I actually watched something about maybe like a month ago. Andy Edwards did his Mount Rushmore of Prog, and it was a good show. He got it all wrong. So when Wayne suggested this, I'm like, yep, I'm ready to do it and do it right. It's the Mount Rushmore of Prog. And let that be your guide, boys and girls. It's Prog with a capital P. And when tallying the votes, and oh yes, boys and girls, I've been tallying the votes. I asked this question on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, and on the community tab. I put out a post there asking people, who would you put on the Mount Rushmore of Prog? I've got the answers right here in my Hello Kitty spiral bound notebook, to be revealed. But I think what we're gonna do first is kind of just go around real quick. We'll start with Cody. What are some of the criteria that you're using? Because it's 4 names, man. This is not going to be easy. Yeah, you've got a genre that's like 56 years old, and you got to break 56 years of prog greatness down into 4 faces. How do you even untangle that?
Well, you just kind of have to look at, It's hard, right? Because, with my list, I actually had to axe out a couple of huge names. Like, you guys know I'm a Jethro Tull fan, but there's no Ian Anderson on my list. I'm a Frank Zappa fan. Obviously, we did that stream last week, right? That the Frank Zappa stream we did here. And so I didn't put him on the list either.
Yeah.
So
this is tough.
You have to, I don't even think that, okay, there's actually one singer on my list. The rest of the guys is bass, guitar, drums, etc. I'm just kind of looking at people who sort of I don't know, these people, all four people that I picked are just have massive impact. I mean, I guess they all do, right? But these four people I picked, I'm I can't really change any of these four guys that I picked. But there's only one singer on my list, and it's not John Anderson either.
I was kind of thinking about that too. How many keyboard players, how many singers, how many guitar players. Wayne, was that something you took into consideration?
For consideration for my list, I kind of thought, well, how did I come about this? And I kind of looked at it for who transcended prog.
Yeah.
Wasn't just prog, but also brought it to a whole nother level of innovation, brought it to the popular masses to a part where they could consume it. And yeah, I found this hard because I'm like, well, how do you do a prog list and leave this person off? And it was brutal, man.
Yeah, you got to leave people off. So I do the same thing. Like when I'm doing lists, I put artificial barriers to entry, the one per artist rule. It's a ridiculous rule, but I do it on purpose just to set up some, parameters that I can, do more, talk about more bands, that type of thing. And it's kind of going to be the same thing here, man, because there's some really great names. I've been keeping track. So what we're going to do is every single vote that you have, Wayne, that you have, Cody, that I have, I'm writing it down. That's one vote. And then the people, they get a vote. So their top four are going to count. So, there's a possible, 4 scores for each artist. So there should be 16 votes altogether once we're done, because there's only 4 faces on Mount Rushmore. Makes it really, really hard.
Yeah.
I was thinking, do you go with a preponderance of, prog hit its peak in the 70s, so it's got to be 4 people from the 70s, or do you split it down the middle and say, you know what, I'm going with 2 from the modern era, 2 from the classic era? That doesn't really work. It feels really not balanced, doesn't feel right at all. But then you're like, do you put them based on their impact in the real world at large, right? Do you want to put people in like a Roger Waters? That's maybe not, a tasteful figure, maybe a derisive figure, but you can't argue that Pink Floyd is one of the biggest bands in the history of rock music.
Absolutely.
And prog or not, they're affiliated with prog. So do we consider Roger Waters or David Gilmour? And do we consider 2 artists from the same band, or is that just absolutely, you got 4 faces? So I think it's going to hurt a couple artists here. There were a couple people not getting the votes I thought they were going to get, because I think people were self-policing themselves and coming up with their own internal rules for how to come up with 4 faces on the Mount Rushmore of Prog. It's a difficult task to do, and as a result, Rick Wakeman didn't get nearly as many votes as I thought he would get.
Oh, man.
And I think it's just a lot of people thinking, I can't have 3 people from Yes. It didn't stop Colonel Ed from having his top 4 being, guess who? Emerson, Lake, and Palmer. And then he threw in a 4th one. He threw in Fripp as his 4th.
King Crimson meets ELP again, right?
I think Jeff Shilka gave me his top 4, and wouldn't you know it, it's 4 guys from Yes.
Yep.
So I tried to keep a little bit of that in mind when I was doing mine. Now, this is, let's see. This is Prog Stream number 17. Next week is going to be New Year's Eve, Prog Stream 18. Of course, same bad time, same bad channel. And we just now decided it's going to be Gentle Giant. Is going to be the topic. We're going to rank them. Let's just do our Gentle Giant rankings. They've only got 11 albums, so it'll be pretty easy to do. I love Gentle Giant, so that'll be awesome.
And when is that one going to be?
That's no New Year's Eve. Wayne, you're supposed to stop me when I'm getting these dates wrong. New Year's Eve, we're going to do something else, right? That's going to be
great album closers.
Oh, yeah. There you see. You guys are way younger than me. You got to correct me.
Well, I thought I misheard.
I have a senior moment like that. No, you're right. We're doing on the last day of the year. We're doing great album closers. For a day that closes out a calendar year, we're going to do our best album closers, and then the following week. Okay, that's the schedule, and that is what.
Yeah. I thought I misheard my story.
January 7th. It will be the Gentle Giant episode. We'll get it right. We'll figure it out. Prog Radio. Wayne, have you been listening to any of this?
I've been trying to keep up with it. I missed yours Friday, worked at a different department, and yesterday I tried to catch it, and I was doing family stuff, so I missed it.
Man. We love you, Kevin, over at Prog Radio.
Yeah.
Cody, you been listening to any of that?
Yeah, man, I listened to your entire show last night.
Yeah.
He
does a good job.
You opened up with Inca Roads, which, you had me hook, line, and sinker there. Then you went into Watermelon and Easter Hay. You went into some other cool Frank Zappa stuff, Brown Shoes Don't Make It. And you ended the show with my favorite band. My favorite band.
There you go. Yeah.
You ended the show
not with one, not two, but we wanted to kind of show the evolution in keeping with my episode bands who changed their sound. So what's fun is we mentioned something here on the Prog stream, and Kevin over on Prog Radio is listening to what we're doing. To wit, we talked about, somebody mentioned in the comments, actually in the live chat comments, somebody mentioned Babe Ruth doing a cover of King Kong, and sure enough, it made it onto the Prog Corner playlist. So that's great.
That was great, Scott.
Every Friday at noon over on Prog Radio, with the replay Saturday at 6 p.m. And then my Sea of Tranquility appearance. I think this is the 6th. I'm almost losing track, which is a good thing. Me and Pete Pardo are going to be shooting it later on in the week, so that should air before New Year's Eve. That's and awesome. A couple of CDs I just got in, really excited about. Scott, I got my Myth of Logic CD. If you like Kansas, if you like Saga, the new one's called Pictures from a Previous Dream. I've given it one spin so far. It's awesome, really cool. Like I said, those are kind of the two bands that keep showing the product, Scott. You're in marketing, dude. You know what you're doing. Yeah, if you like Saga, you like Kansas, you like Styx, you like bands like that, there's no reason in the world you won't like this stuff, man. I've only listened to the new album once. His last album was fantastic, so thank you for sending this to me. Of course, I'm going to mention it when you send me a free copy, and it's really, really good. And the one I'm really excited about, so much so that I will be doing an album review of this next week. It's the brand new one from Canada's Monarch Trail. It's called Four Sides. Yes, a double album, which makes sense, but there's no vinyl yet, so the name really doesn't make sense. And there's 5 songs, not 4. So Ken Bard's maybe not real good at math, but this is a beautiful package. Nice digipack. Good little sleeve here. Yeah, I'll be doing a full album review for Monarch Trail. I'm a big fan. I think they're great. And that leads me to the final thing we're going to talk about before we get into carving some stone, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be carving some faces in the side of a mountain. I want to kind of go around the panel and just talk about records that you've been listening to over the past week that have been ringing the bell for you, that have been moving the needle. I've got 3 that I cannot stop listening to. The first one is UK stoner band, kind of a cult band. I know Notes Review's been talking about it on their channel. I think Rhyme Signatures did. It's Green Lung. and the album is In the Heathen Lands. I listened to it when it first came out. It didn't do a whole lot for me, but I absolutely love it. There's a new Palace album, which is fantastic. Their original singer's back. He's been gone for a while. Last 2 albums had a different dude. It was good, but I forget his name. I can't. Tony Clark or something. That ain't it. I know Alan or I don't take notes. You know how I am. I rely on my brain to remember everything, and it's not working right. And finally, either you guys into Angra at all? That Brazilian progressive metal band?
Kiko Loureiro, man.
How good is this new Angra? I mean, all their albums are good, but honestly, to me, it's been like the first 2 albums were just amazing, and then it's been kind of hit or miss ever since. Wow, this new one, Cycles of Pain. Oh man, I can't stop listening to it. The hooks are there, the songwriting is incredible, and it's so much fun to hear a band just kind of do whatever they want to do. Is it metal? Sure. Is it is it prog metal? Not really. It doesn't sound anything. It sounds more like Iron Maiden than Dream Theater. But man, dude, I'm so glad you guys like Angra.
Yeah. I only heard the single from the new album. I haven't heard the whole thing, but I like the last album before it. I'm kind of new. Like I just heard of them like in the last 6 months, and I like them. And I found out that Kiko was their original guitarist. Right. So now he was in Megadeth for the last 8 years, right?
I think that's why most people know who Angra is because of that connection, clearly. But another Angra comment. Oh, Kyle, hey, what's going on?
Hi, Kyle.
There you go.
We miss you, Kyle. Yeah, they became more prog after Marcelo got in the band. That's for sure. I love all their albums, and I love Arabs and Aspect. Ian put quotation marks in it because it's they already released this album once, but it was all in Norwegian. Their only album in Norwegian. All the rest of their albums are in English. So they corrected that, and they did this one in English. It's actually fantastic. I usually don't like that. Anglicized albums usually hit me wrong, but let's see what's he talking about. Shoot me a link, and I didn't put a link up there, so I guess Kyle's going to join us. Do we want Kyle?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I guess.
Scott, when do you do the next Sea of Tranquility? When is that coming out?
Yeah, taping that this week, so that should come out probably Friday or Saturday.
That's so cool that you get to do that, man. I wish I could be on that channel one day. That is so cool. Good for you, man.
Thank you. It's it's something I used to joke about, especially when we first started on the Prog Corner was that, I like to play the victim sometimes. So it's always the victim card. Oh, boo-hoo. Pete's not going to ever have me on his channel. Oh, poor me. And here we are, boys and girls. It's the aforementioned Kyle from All Media Reviews. Kyle, let's see what your audio is like. We're trying to get our audio levels a little bit better than last week, where I think we were all over the map. Talk to me.
Yeah.
Is it working? Can you hear me?
You're a little loud.
I can turn my mic down.
If you have some way to get your gain going.
I know there's a way to do that. I mean, I could just back off a little bit.
Otherwise, can you move,
Is mine too loud?
Is it better now?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's
okay.
Fine.
All right.
Yeah. And they will let me know, in the comments if they can't hear you. But yeah, man, how's it going? Do you have a chisel ready, Kyle?
Do I have a chisel ready to carve my Mount
We're
Rushmore?
carving some stone, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, I chimed in on Twitter if you remember seeing that. I know because Nathan and Shuffle that he had 2 comments like, well, here's the objective version, and here's my personal version. I'm better at the personal version. Yeah, that is kind of hot. I don't know if that's me or is that someone else.
That was Cody moving something.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me okay? Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I can hear you. Yep.
There's no feedback or anything, right?
No, you're good. No. You're good. And just on a personal note, I wrote here, Cody owns a record store.
Oh,
so,
thanks.
Why is he shooting in his bedroom?
This is not my bedroom.
You should do some stuff from your store, Cody, at some point if you can do that.
I've actually got 3 videos up that on my channel on Brockways Vinyl Bites, and I guess this is a good chance to mention this because
good, because I didn't know this.
I've got 3 videos up actually, and at least 2 of them are tours of the entire store.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I'll drop you guys some links after.
Now,
if you
plug
guys
it right now. Give us the address. We have plenty of people watching from Canada. So,
okay, well, I forget what I called it. So let me go onto my channel here.
You call it Second Chance Records.
Yes, second. No, that's the business. But I forgot what I called the video on my channel.
Video. Oh, I thought you couldn't remember the name of your store.
No,
Man.
That would not be good.
Always you, dog.
No.
So you to run a business.
No.
The name of your store.
The video on my channel is called Full Tour of Second Chance Records, my store.
Okay.
I actually got that name because it's people, like a lot of people gave away their vinyl collection initially. And so this is their second chance at buying all their old stuff back again. And it kind of reminded me of that Fleetwood Mac song, Secondhand News. So I'm like, yeah, it's just got too many connections. I got to do it. We've been open almost 10 years now, Scott.
Wow.
The quote-unquote vinyl revival, which has been going on for maybe a little over a decade. You could say almost everyone's buying stuff second chance or second hand, except the new stuff.
Good point.
We carry new stuff too.
Right.
So what we're going to do, Kyle, is we're going to go around the horn. We're going to start with Wayne. He's going to give us his Mount Rushmore of Prog, the 4 names he's ready to put out there as his top 4. We're going to break it down. We're going to criticize, critique, make fun of him. We're going to drag him left and right. And then it's going to be Cody's turn. And then it's going to be your turn. And then I'll reveal mine. And then the 5th component and carving this whole thing out is the fan voting, which has been taking place all week, all across my social media platforms, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, and here on YouTube. So your voice will be heard. But here we go. Without any further ado, because I would really like to wrap this up in a little bit world record time. Let's see what we can do. I don't know. Wayne, it is your turn. The Mount Rushmore of Prog. What you got, man?
For me, like I said earlier, this was going to be who kind of transcended Prog. So I kind of looked at it from that context. And the 4 names that came up for me is number 1. I couldn't leave this guy off the list. Frank Zappa.
Okay.
Probably the most progressive musician out there, that even in the 80s, when all the prog bands completely pretty much abandoned capital P prog, Zappa was still pushing the envelope forward, technology-wise and musician-wise. Number 2 for me, David Gilmour. Just some of the most memorable guitar solos. Like, you could probably just have an ear test and put people up there and just put his solos up, and they're so recognizable and everything. Number 3 for me on Mount Rushmore Prog, Phil Collins.
Nice.
Because when you're talking drumming,
did you say Phil Collins?
Phil, yes.
Yeah. Like drumming and singing in Genesis, and kind of took Genesis when Peter Gabriel left, and pretty much it felt like they didn't miss a beat. They just kept going on doing their own thing, and kind of became, like we've talked about before, what ELP should have been in the 1980s and everything. And then number 4, this one's probably going to get the most criticizing from people. I'll put Kate Bush on
Wow.
Mount Rushmore of Prog.
Man. She's great.
I think we talk about progressive pop and different styles and just being unique.
Okay.
And trailblazers, Kate Bush.
And you had you were honest up front. You said you were looking for ones that broke through the noise, broke through the clutter, because there's absolutely no doubt that Patrick Moraz and Jan Hammer are great musicians, but come on, they didn't move the needle in terms of cultural zeitgeist in one, not even one iota. So we're looking at all people: Zappa, Gilmore, Phil Collins, Kate Bush. These are all people who actually the average person would be aware of. Right? I mean, everybody knows those 4 artists. And if anybody has a problem with Phil Collins being on this list, listen to those early Brand X albums.
That's what I was going to say. Of course, he did Brand X.
Come on, man.
He played with Zeppelin at Live Aid, and he even beyond Genesis in his solo career, he did a lot of other stuff. So
Robert Plant solo albums, he was on all of it, man. I got all of it here.
Now, you could make a case that are these the 4 names that kind of talk about. I was looking at the Mount Rushmore of Prog. I didn't say progressive rock or progressive music. I said Prog.
Capital P.
So you could make a case that none of those actually qualify, but I absolutely love those 4 picks, Wayne. Even though you're dead wrong, man, there's just no explanation for actually Zappa's a great pick. Gilmore's a great pick. Phil Collins owned an entire decade, people. People talk about Prince and Springsteen and Madonna, but if you look at everything Phil Collins did in the 80s, he owned a decade, man.
Yes,
so, hard to argue with that. And Kate Bush, I mean, come on. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The world is her oyster now, so it's great to see that.
He's the queen of Prague, you could say in some ways. Queen of art pop, at least.
and it's weird because you've got the David Gilmour, Kate Bush connection there built in. So that's a good one, man. I love that. I love that Mount Rushmore. What do you think, Cody? Do we like it? Do we hate it?
Oh, Wayne is
Wayne dead wrong, like I just pronounced him?
No, he was good. I mean, it's kind of nice to see the comparisons here because nobody that he mentioned is on my list, but I love all the people that he mentioned. So it's okay by me. Good. Is it my time now?
Cody, we are going, and at least it's clockwise how I see it. I don't know if it's the same for everybody, but Cody, it's time to reveal your Mount Rushmore of Prog.
Well, I have one honorable mention that I have to get out of the way. It's an honorable mention. It's Steve Hackett.
Wow.
Steve Hackett. I mean, that you could tell this list is real good if Steve Hackett's in the honorable mentions, right? I mean, I love Steve Hackett. I've interviewed him. I've met him, several times. I've seen him at least 7 times in concert. He is absolutely one of the pioneering guys of the modern prog still to this day. He's got like 30 solo albums out. So I had to give him a
good. Hey, Cody, I'm going to interrupt you. That was a great idea. I'm a backtrack. And Wayne, you got an honorable mention. I did say just 4, but it's not a horrible thing. Off the top of your head, who'd you put up there?
Keith Emerson would be on that list. And going way off the board would be Storm Thorgerson, the artwork for Pink
Floyd.
Good one.
I got 2 votes for Roger Dean.
Yeah.
I got 2 votes for the Gentle Giant face. I got 1 vote for the King Crimson face. So why not Storm? Absolutely. Why not? Love him.
Because I thought, you ask people, what are the most iconic images in Prague? As great as Roger Dean is, you go up to normal fan, they'll know the prism, they'll know the handshake, they'll know the pig.
Well, Hypnosis just dominated. You talk about how Phil Collins dominated the 80s. Well, Hypnosis dominated the 70s. And they got to a point where basically, if you weren't using somebody like a Roger Dean, you were probably using Hypnosis. Everybody used them at some point in their career, I think, with the exception of Bob Dylan. I remember Storm saying that he wished he would have worked with Dylan at some point, but he's gone. He's left us. And the last album cover he ever did was for my beloved Biffy Clyro. He did Opposites. Fantastic artwork. Yep. That's a good one. All right. I'm sorry, Cody. We were cutting into your time.
Okay.
You got Hackett as your honorable mention.
Yeah, I mean, I could take 10 honorable mentions, right? But Hackett had to be the one. I just have such a great connection with Steve and his music, so I had to throw him in there. But so my Mount Rushmore of Prog. This might be a bit contrarian to some people, but that's okay. I had to have someone. I mean, he's been around for 30 years, but he's not from the 70s. I'm a drummer. I got to have Mike Portnoy. I love him. I love his work on the Dream Theater and Transatlantic and Neil Morris Band and all this. I just think he's a fantastic drummer. I love his metal style. I love his prog style. I love when they just meet like this. Like I was playing As I Am on the drums the other night, and I'm like, man, the drumming in this is just so good. And he is kind of being the guy who's, kind of carrying the prog torch these days. I mean, he's, obviously there's tons of great new bands. Like I see that Moon Safari behind your head there, Scott. That's a great album. But Mike Portnoy is kind of like the MVP of he's still winning modern drummer awards and things like that. And so I had to mention Mike. Mike is definitely
I love it. And in our fan voting, Portnoy came in 17th place. He was the second highest vote getter for the modern era. Only one artist got more votes than Mike Portnoy for the Mount Rushmore of Prog from the modern era. I think we all know who that person is.
I think so too. I think
we're going to run through that later, but Portnoy, good call. Good call.
Next up is my favorite bass player of all time, Chris Squire. I was just listening to Run with the Fox before we came on here. I love that song. Yeah. And you actually included that in your Christmas list, Scott. I love that. That was a great video. Chris Squire, I mean, he's got my favorite Yes solo album too. I mean, and he's only got one, and I just think it's fantastic. Of course, it's got Bill Bruford and Patrick Moraz and such on it, but I just think it's better than some Yes albums. I'm not going to mention which one. So. We're not going to get into that topic, but it's better than some Yes albums. Like it's good enough to be a Yes album. It really stands on its own. And he just, his bass lines, so many great bass players who came out after Chris Squire. He's kind of like the Eddie Van Halen of bass. Like people heard Chris Squire, people heard Paul McCartney and then Chris Squire and John Entwistle, and they hear those three guys and they go, man, I want to start playing. That's why I bought my first bass. Not even because of my own dad, who's a bass player. God love him. He's my favorite bass player. But Chris Squire is my, overall top guy. And I heard the bass playing in Roundabout, and I'm like, I got to get a Thunderbird. I know he plays a Rickenbacker, but you can make the Thunderbird sound like a Rickenbacker, no problem.
Yeah. As long as you use the right strings, right?
Yeah. Next up is Robert Fripp.
Oh,
Fripp. Yeah. And of course, there's a bit of a reference here to the King Crimson video that we did a couple weeks ago here on the Prog Corner. So
absolutely, good video.
If y'all haven't seen that, go check it out. It was a lot of fun.
It was a great video. Yeah. You know what? just just go watch that. But after this one, do not leave this stream. You're not allowed to leave the stream for any reason. It's Christmas Eve, man. Do me, do Wayne, do Cody and Kyle a favor. Stay on this stream. And, audience retention is the secret sauce that keeps the YouTube algorithm happy. So as long as you guys are sticking around, they're going to continue to recommend this video from now until the end of time. So do not worry about those Zappa numbers, boys and girls. They will correct themselves. But Fripp is
on our channel too. We got Wayne at Prisons of Prague, and we got Kyle from All Media Reviews, and me from Brockway's Vinyl Bites. So if you want, come check out all of our channels.
And
and thank you, Scott.
Yeah, thank you. My people are good.
Yes. Yeah, I've already got a good number of subscribers come on, so I really appreciate you having me on here, Scott. Thank you. It's been so much fun.
Now, these are some loyal people that click on, and when you're looking at your analytics in the YouTube studio, you can see new viewers or returning viewers, and these Sunday Prog streams, it's all returning viewers, man. You know,
awesome.
we're not getting a lot of new viewers, and I'm okay with that. This is for the hardcore fans, man. This is the Tales of Topographic Oceans version. You know, only real hardcore fans can really get into it, right? I mean, this isn't the Yes album, right? You gotta be a hardcore fan to love the live stream that we do. And so Cody is now up to his fourth and final pick.
No, I'm up to my third because Steve was just an honorable mention, but I got Mike Portnoy, Chris Squire, and now Robert Fripp.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, Robert Fripp. I just want to give a little bit of a mention about him because of the way he kind of spearheaded the genre. We wouldn't have the Yes and Genesis without Robert Fripp. Despite the fact that those guys started before King Crimson. King Crimson's the one that kind of put it on the map, and then Yes kind of blew it into a different atmosphere. But okay, then my final pick is Peter Gabriel.
Okay.
Peter Gabriel, that guy right there. Where the heck is he? Right there. Peter Gabriel, yeah.
Why? Why do you got Pete on there?
That album is absolutely incredible, and the fact that he could wait 20 years and put out a record like that, and have it be that amazing. He's already 72, something like that. He is definitely still pushing the envelope at his age, even at an age where he could just go out and play hits if he wanted to.
Yeah.
Like So is arguably the best pop album ever. I mean, if you ask me. But yeah, he's just, the way he's influenced, he's got world music, he's got blues music, he's got prog, he's got some hints of classical and stuff all throughout his music. And the way he's put 3 different mixes of this album out, that new one, I.O., and they're all different and they're all really cool. Like there's not one definitive. There's 3 different ones with subtle changes, and it's just he's always pushing boundaries. So Peter
I
Gabriel,
like when artists do that.
Yeah.
Some people had a problem, like when Transatlantic had all the different versions of the Absolute Universe. Right. Hey, if there's more material for me to listen to as a fan, why is that a bad thing? Why would anybody be adverse to that? So Cody's got Mike Portnoy, Chris Squire, Robert Fripp, and Peter Gabriel. That's pretty solid. We were talking about Capital P Prog, and Cody delivered. Kyle, what do you think of those 4 from Cody?
Oh, they're all really good. I mean, I'm unclear where I'm going to go with mine because I don't know if I want to overlap or not, because some of those would be on my list as well.
You can. Hey, this is all about. We're gonna get our chisels out, man. We're gonna enshrine the 4 faces right here. It's gonna be definitive. It's gonna be permanent. There's nothing anybody can do to change it, man. So be thoughtful. Be very, very insightful here, because this is very important stuff we're talking about. We're splitting atoms here. We're saving lives. We're carving out some rock on Mount Rushmore with the 4 faces that deserve to be on the Mount Rushmore of Prog. And I don't want to hear any excuses, Kyle. Let's go. What you got as your first?
Well, I need to clarify. How can I do this? Can I do this with my own personal favorites, or am I doing this objectively, like it's Prog and it's got to be like sort of 4 icons of Prog?
You can do it any way you want, man.
All right, then I'm gonna go with what I replied on Twitter. So even though these aren't as most quote unquote Prog, and all the artists I've got are chosen as basically modern artists. So
that's allowed. Lay it on
my
me.
first is someone that you guys may not be aware of, is a guy named Jimmy Necco with a GN, and he's from the band Hours. But he can sing and wail like a banshee. He's been prolific, been a musician since the 80s, but his first album from Hours didn't come out to 2001. I mean, they're more progressive than Prog. They're more alternative rock, but he did play with Brian May on the Spider-Man 2 soundtrack for the One to Die For. Someone to Die For. And I mean, I've talked to him. He's a Genesis fan. He's covered Queen. And he's worked with the guys from Guns N' Roses. He's a super versatile vocal. He's got the highest vocal range I can guarantee of anyone on this list.
Wow.
And cool. that recommended from Mike Portnoy in the year 2005 when I'd never heard of them. It's kind of like taking Bono from U2 and put him on steroids.
Okay.
But the songs on so many of the records have always meant so much to me, and so he's a super important person to me and a musician to me. So he's number 4.
He's on the list.
Someone he toured with, and I did not get to see the tour because a death was in the family. One of the other touring bands, unfortunately, was the Deer Hunters' Casey Crescenzo.
Nice.
Also originally of the Receiving End of Sirens, but I'm a super the Deer Hunter fan, of lifetime member, love all their albums. I feel like the Deer Hunter are almost unmatched. The only band I can really see as having a consecutive streak of just basically flawless or records I like every song is Rush. Every record from the Deer Hunter I've loved, and the guy's a producer, multi-instrumentalist. He's done obviously concept albums, some side projects, and he was in the Receiving End of Sirens, who, while they're not prog exactly, they have
awesome though. Hey, nothing wrong with that band. I love them.
Super layered. So yeah, Casey's a genius, savant.
Good call. Good call. I love the Deer Hunter. I love Casey. What'd you think of that remade version of Migrant?
I liked it. I liked it more, actually. I'm enjoying the album more. I think they reordered the track list.
You see, I'm one of the weirdos that thought it was a career highlight for Casey. I absolutely adored Migrant. And so when he dropped it again for its anniversary, I was a little skeptical. Why are you painting a mustache on the Mona Lisa, Casey? But it's even better, man. It's so good. So that's an excellent
I can
call.
answer your question. I mean, there's what I believe is the reason why they did that is because they had so much frustration trying to press vinyl for their last record, Antimai. They weren't able to put the next record out it's going to be known as Sonia. Right. So they had to do something else. So let's remix the album that's 10 years ago that, is kind of polarized, which a lot of people love Migrant. And I think some of their best songs are on that record. So, but yeah, no, I love Casey, and he's kind of, he's my modern sort of savant singer, songwriter, musician. All right, so number 3 is a guy who's the most important musician to me, other than maybe some of the guys in Rush, to the history of progressive metal, is Jim Matheos from Fate's Warning. Also OSI, which we talked about Portnoy. He played with Portnoy and OSI, played on John Arch's EP. But Fate's Warning is an all-time favorite of mine. I know that some people like their more progressive stuff. Some people like the more metal stuff. I love all of it, and he's been the one parallel, kind of like Chris Squire with Yes, where he's been on every album. He was the main songwriter for most of the albums.
I see parallels here.
Yes. He's a huge, I could totally see the seeds of where he took what Rush was doing and kind of brought it into the modern day. And I love his riffs. I love his tone. I love so many of the compositions he's done. Jim Matheos I met him once in a bathroom right before their concert many years ago in St. Paul. I was like, "You're Jim Matheos? Is this short guy with curly hair?" It's like, yeah, I've been a fan so long. I tried not to fanboy too long, but Jim is.
But you're doing it right now. He's going on the Mount Rushmore of Prog, and the fact that he's not a jerk certainly doesn't hurt that, right?
No, he isn't, and he's a totally modest guy. Like, he doesn't see himself as this genius, but people that
and I think a lot of people know he was actually supposed to be the 4th member of Transatlantic.
Yep.
But apparently he was busy, so
he was busy doing the current Fate's Warning album, and so that's why they did OSI.
Yeah, I love OSI.
Yep, I know. Just imagine, it was supposed to be called Second Nature. Royno wouldn't have been in Transatlantic, but we would have had Jim, and I don't know. Some people think that wouldn't have worked with Jim and Neil working together. I don't know. They're both on Metal Blade Records, so
yeah. Which era of OSI do you prefer, Kyle? The Portnoy era.
I got it kind of biased, and I love Kevin Moore, obviously the original Dream Theater keyboardist. And he played on a couple of Fate's Warning albums. I love the first album. Yeah. The records after that, the second one, Free, I revisited a few years ago, and I like more. But I love the way they used a lot of samples and sound clips.
Yes, it's a cool record, right?
Yeah, and I was gonna say Daniel Gildenlow from Pain of Salvation actually was originally approached to sing on that record.
Oh, really?
Yes, and he did a demo.
The first OSI.
Yep, but then Kevin Moore kind of decided I could try doing vocals, and it ended up being Kevin did the vocals,
and he did just fine on vocals. Actually, who knew?
But it is kind of like what could have been, someday. But
Indeed.
All right, so I'm up to number one, and
Yes.
it's really no shock. I'm wearing the T-shirt today. It's Kevin Gilbert, the late Kevin Gilbert, the late.
I knew that was coming.
Yes, he's he kind of blew my mind. I'd heard his name years before I discovered him, but he blew my mind when I'd heard Toy Matinee, and I'm like, this is like the most perfect pop music I've ever heard.
Yeah.
And then I learned about everything, how he was supposed to work with Dream Theater, how he, this album, The Shaming of the True, he did the Genesis stuff. His Genesis covers are mind blowing to me. He's got so much work his estate's released posthumously that he's become my favorite musician of all time. And so how am I not going to put him on my list,
There you go. Well, so you've got Jimmy Necco, which is probably the biggest surprise.
He's an outlier. He's certainly an outlier, but
definitely an outlier. Casey Crescenzo, Jim Matheos, and Kevin Gilbert rounds out your top four. Very cool, very eclectic, very surprising. You definitely went the road less traveled with that, and I absolutely appreciate it. And
nice one.
I've been, I told you guys before we started that I've been kind of going back and forth on what to do with my picks because, hey, they're the exact same as I've got in this book of voting that's been going on for the past week across all my socials. So here's what we're going to do. I'm just going to go down. I got 40 different nominees. I'm just going to go down in order. And the last four, guess what? Those are going to be the four that you guys voted for. And I 100% agree with my subscribers here on YouTube, my followers over there on Twitter, etc., etc. You guys are smart, man. Really, really smart. People that got consideration with like one or two votes included people like Anthony Kalugian. That was a cool one. David Allen. I didn't expect that. That was awesome.
Wow.
I love that.
Yep.
Adrian Ballou got like 3 votes.
Well,
I love that guy.
If you think about his body of work, it makes some sense. Yep.
It's sick. At first I was like, no.
Yep.
And then I started digging in and thinking a little bit more about his solo work. The fact that he was lead singer on more King Crimson albums than anybody else. Just incredible what he did with Zapp and with Talking Heads and Tom Tom Club. Every time you hear that awful Mariah Carey song or Lotto song, which started out as Genius of Love, Mariah Carey made a fortune on it. Hey, guess what? Our boy Adrian Ballou fought his way and got rights to that song, and so he's making some money. I love Adrian Ballou.
I saw him for the first time this past year live. Yep.
Really, Steve Rothery made the list.
Wow.
Yeah, he's good.
I'm
Good
not
player.
surprised.
Man, my people are smart.
If you pick someone from Marillion, if you're not taking Fish, who would you take? You probably would take him.
Here's Pete Kerwavas. And at first I'm like, I don't think he's done enough. And then you do a little more thinking and like, he was an absolute critical figure in the formation of the second wave of prog, the neo-prog era. And he's been an integral part of Transatlantic and, Edison's Children and a bunch of other stuff, whatever else he's been doing. Just incredible. So it kind of makes sense, right?
And he's on every Marillion album, of course.
Brian Eno makes the list.
Yeah.
Well, why not, man? I love Eno. Roy Nostalt.
Yep. Even beyond the Flower Kings, of course, he's got a lot of other stuff. Kaipa.
Just an endless amount of stuff.
Tangent,
one thing we talked about maybe doing, like we could do the Mount Rushmore guitar players, the Mount Rushmore keyboard players, et cetera, et cetera. We could do the Mount Rushmore of modern prog.
What's his name? Mr. Movies mentioned that you should do a separate one for each instrument. It was
yeah. So
that would be a cool idea. We could do that.
It is a good idea. So, once again, we'll see how the numbers are. We are going to let the viewers decide, If the numbers are great, I'd be an idiot not to go back and, try to take another bite of that apple. I'm not a dummy. Mama didn't raise no fool. Michael Ackerfeld.
Oh, yeah.
Again, if we're talking about if we do a modern prog.
He's easily part of the modern group, sir.
Definitely.
I'm seeing a lot of people here mention the Beatles too. I mean, it's not classified as prog, but they have, side 2 of Abbey Road, right?
Yeah.
You know?
Hey, remember Pontus from last week, Kyle?
Yeah.
Yes.
He's got his list. He says Zappa, Fripp, Ian Anderson, and Sid Barrett.
Nice one.
Crazy. He's crazy.
There's about 50 different ways you can look at it. You can look at it for body of work. You can look at influence. You can look at, who started what, who did what first. I don't know. There's a lot of different ways you can take it.
It's hard, man.
Yep,
it's
longevity. So Sid Barrett, certainly founder of Pink Floyd. Pink Floyd was as responsible as any of the foundation of prog.
First vote we had for him, but I had several votes. You mentioned Marillion, and you said, hey, pretty much anybody from Marillion. Well, not just about anybody. Fish also makes the list, and rightly so. Came in with like 4 or 5 votes, and
he's got his solo career too.
Awesome stuff. Carl Palmer.
Yes.
He makes the list, and he should, and even you look at who else was in Emerson, Lake and Palmer in Asia. I mean, you could argue at one point in time, ELP was like the biggest band in the world. Mm-hmm. And you could argue for a brief moment in time in 1982, Asia was oddly enough the biggest band in the world. Who can say that? Carl Palmer can say that. Steve Morris got a few votes, a lot more than I thought. I thought that was awesome. Steve Morris.
That makes sense because he played with just like Phil Collins or Bill
it's Brooks. A who's right. Yeah. I mean, Kansas,
Deep Purple. Yep. Dregs.
Flying Colors.
Now Flying Colors. Yep.
Now what about the other Morse?
Yeah.
I'm sure that name was going to get brought up too. Yes.
Okay. And then let's see, we got Justin Hayward.
Yeah, nice.
And these are in ascending order. These are based on the number of votes each of these received. So as we go up, these people should be bigger and bigger names and brighter lights. To wit, how about John Wetton comes in?
Yeah, that's a good one.
We love John Wetton.
UK Crimson.
I think that's Asia, number 20.
Yep. And he played with a lot of other people. I didn't even realize until he passed away, sadly. He played with
insane how many people
bands, and he played with some of the
Family, Uriah Heep,
Yep.
Roxy Music. Yep. Of course, King Crimson in UK and Asia. His CV is stacked. It's just absolutely stacked. And, you talk about his resume probably more than you talk about his greatness, and that should probably change because he was a dynamite bass player, great songwriter, a fantastic singer. We love John Wetton.
Very
at number 19.
Yep.
It was Mike Oldfield.
I got something to add in here. Sorry, I just want to say that my dad is actually on the comments here, and he voted anyone named Steve.
Is that your dad?
like Steve video, remember?
Anyone named Steve.
That's Dad.
Love you, Dad.
Sweet. Good to have you in the house, Dad.
The Mount Steve Moore.
Mount Steve Moore. Okay. Yeah. Number 19 is Mike Oldfield.
Yep.
Well,
why not? Tubular Bells.
Prolific Tubular Bells, and the
made Richard Branson a gazillionaire on the strength of one album. So why not? John Petrucci comes in at number 18, and
super important guitarist and music songwriter for the recent history of prog. Yep.
And
never heard of him.
Yeah.
He actually got a bunch of votes for Alan White, which was really nice to see. My counting was off. We're nowhere near there. Alex Lifeson got some votes. Where are we? 17, 18. 19.
Rush is kind of hard. You could choose any 3 of them, really.
Yeah.
They split the votes. I think you're right. Yep. I think Rush split votes. Annie Haslam on the list. Next up is Tony Banks.
Yes. He's a most important member of the history of Genesis. So,
and then 18, 19.
I mean, my brother, I can look at Tony as the slightly more important member of Genesis. Besides,
and I know he's a little unsavory, but I just recounted, and at number 21, shunned, not allowed in the top 20 club. It's Roger Waters, and I'm a little surprised by that. I know he and David probably split votes a little bit. That might have hurt him a little bit. But at number 21, Roger Waters, surprised. I thought that would have been higher.
Probably his politics also turned people off quite a bit.
I think that's got to be a big part of it. At number 20, man, this is the kind of thing that makes me so happy, that makes me realize that you guys know your prog, man. It's Ray Shulman. What a genius, man. What a genius. We lost him last year. So much more than just a bass player. Have you seen the YouTube videos where Ray and Gary Green strap on the acoustic guitars in the middle of that octopus medley and just start going crazy, the two of them? Just the guy was incredible, the violin playing, and apparently almost every single song Gentle Giant ever did, Ray had a humongous role in the songwriting for. Good call, people. Yeah, I can't argue with that. At number 19, it's Geddy Lee.
Okay.
Yeah.
Little low, but, you know.
Multi-instrumentalist and singer.
None of you people had him on your list, so.
I thought about putting him on the list when I was doing this. It's like, well, I'm choosing one person from Rush. I kind of have to go with him because he does the most. But.
It's hard.
I mean,
it's so hard, man, and it's getting harder. It's getting so hard. At number
technically,
8,
about Geddy Lee, I did a whole stream about Rush on Brockways Vinyl Bites, so maybe I had to go in a different direction. I don't know.
There you go. And you know, we all see the world, you know, the way we see the world. But hey, oh yeah, I love it. At number 18 is Neil Morris. We talked about Steve, and now it's Neil coming in at number 18, and hot on his heels at number 17. It's Mike Portnoy. Yeah,
But yes.
You know, why not?
I mean, you know, Neil, he's probably the most important like songwriter in modern prog. There's no debate about that because he's the face of modern prog in a lot of ways.
And the Portnoy Morris combo is just so
it's massive. It's
it's perfect.
Portnoy is probably more well known, not to the general masses, but to prog fans with his work with Neil Morse than actually now Dream Theater. It's weird to think, but it's true.
I agree 100%. And so to close out the last artist from the modern era, coming in at number 16, I think it's obvious. I can't count. I've counted this several times. I've been wrong each time. It's Steven Wilson. Obviously, he's going to be the number one modern guy on the list. But, you know, to it, a lot of people in the comments are like, well, if they're not from the 70s, they're probably not going to be on the list. Well, yeah, that's not true. Just not in the top 15.
He was a given. He was a given.
Yeah.
You know, I thought about putting him in there instead of Jimmy, but, you know, because I do love him, but it's like he's got so much work that I love, but he doesn't have like the perfect records that I love the most. So I couldn't quite justify it. But Steven, he's just got so many good records. It's crazy.
And here we go. We're getting into the top 15, which is the good stuff. It's all the classics. At number 15, it's Greg Lake. Why not? King Crimson and ELP. That's a nice doubleheader. And he was in, you know, Asia for a week and a half too. And in his prime, what a voice, right?
And
his solo work, that Nuclear Assault with Gary Moore.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Guitar.
And at number 15 number 14 is next. If my math is right. It's Peter Hamill, boys and girls. I like the cat. Peter Hamill.
Because you're learning about Peter Hamill and Vandergraaf Generator. I mean, Peter Hamill, people love him, and he's super like renowned in terms of vocals and as a songwriter, and he actually crosses over outside of prog circles, which is unusual for a lot of people on this list.
And that is true, and I think why you know, a lot of these people are where they are. And let's see, number 13, right? This is surprising. You know, I thought this was kind of a no-brainer. It's Frank Zappa, and I think because this is the Prog Corner, capital P Prog is what we do here. Maybe we shouldn't beat ourselves up quite as much as we were for our Zappa numbers last week. Maybe my people just aren't Zappa people, and that's okay because Zappa is not capital P Prog, right? Yeah, somebody said in the comments earlier he deserves his own mountain. And
Yes,
he
he does.
absolutely does.
Would that be Billy the Mountain?
That's no, yeah, that's Billy the Mountain. It's even got a name. At number 12, we got Steve Howe.
Yep.
Why not?
Makes
At
sense,
number 11, David Gilmour couldn't make the top 10, and I really think Gilmour and Waters took votes away from each other.
If you're voting for one, you had to vote for one or the other.
And that's the only reason why, some of these people are where they are. I think some people just don't want to put two members of the same band on the same mountain, and I get it. And now we're in the top 10. The Mount Rushmore of Prog. It's Rick Wakeman comes in at number 10.
Well,
I thought he'd be a little higher. He's like one of those people. When you think about prog rock, you think about wizards and dudes with sequin capes and stuff like that. That's Wakeman.
He's the stereotype. He's definitely the stereotype. Yeah,
I thought he'd at least be in the top 8.
Yeah. So he comes in at number 10. At number 9, the perfect example of 3 guys stealing votes from each other. It's Neil Peart. Clearly, if you didn't have geniuses like Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson to either side of you would have gotten more votes. It's just the way that goes, right?
Yeah.
Most people didn't want to vote.
I mean, it's actually good in one way because there's so many examples of that, so it sort of evens out in a way, I guess.
Yeah.
You think, well, they're stealing votes from one from the other, but there's so many examples of Genesis, yes, Pink Floyd, whatever. There's so many bands that have many members you could vote for. You only can pick one.
Yeah, and nobody said you could only vote for one, but I think people had in their minds, to be fair, you want to get a good representation, and that totally makes sense. So, at number 8. This is how good the competition here is, man. It's Steve Hackett at number 8.
Yeah.
And
the guy.
I think his recency, he's been more visible the last decade. So people think about him. He's got a lot of records.
He's been more visible.
So why he would be ahead of Steve Howe or David Gilmour for that reason, I think, just because he's been more visible in Prague. So.
And he's kind of doing it the right way. He's bringing in fantastic musicians. You think about his touring band. Oh, Craig Blundell's not there. Oh, darn, we get Nick DiVirgilio instead. Oh, rats. I mean, come on, man. I mean, you got Jonas Reingold on bass. You've got the amazing Nad Sylvan singing both the Collins and Gabriel stuff with ease. And he's not billing it as Genesis. It's a Steve Hackett, an evening of Genesis material, or whatever tour it is. That doesn't leave a bad taste in people's mouth. Like, Steve Howe's Yes. A lot of people get really upset and angry that he calls it Yes. Steve doesn't have to worry about that. He's got great PR. He's got the street cred. He's been Prague before there was such a thing as Prague. I love you, Steve Hackett. He did have
GTR also, which was slightly commercial.
He did.
Plus his prolific solo career and all the Genesis work. I mean, he's got a lot of stuff on his resume.
He had a couple hits in his solo career.
Yeah. Watch those videos of the Genesis stuff, and they're just mind blowing. That even still at his age, he seems to be just as fresh as he probably was back in the 70s.
Beautiful.
This has got John Wetton and Chester Thompson on it.
Chester Thompson, yeah.
If you guys have never heard this, go listen to it. It's seriously
That's probably what
is it the Live in Tokyo?
Like had he accepted Fripp and King Crimson.
I got that years ago at a record show. Some guy was I was really new to Prague, and you got to get this because it's not just Hackett. It's all these other guys that played with, you named Wetton, Chester Thompson. They're doing a bunch of covers.
They do King Crimson. They do covers of each other's band songs, right? So they do I think they have a version of In the Court of the Crimson King on there too, and they have a studio version of All Along the Watchtower, which is excellent.
That's cool.
Anyway,
Hackett. I love show and tell. He comes in at number 8. Hard to believe there's 7 names more important to prog rock than the Flame Keeper himself. But here we go at number 7. You're standing there on one leg playing a flute. You look like a fool back then. You look like a fool today, but nobody cares, man. You're Ian Anderson. You're writing these amazing songs, and You think about flute and rock and roll. There's only one place your mind's gonna go, right? It's got to be Ian Anderson. I deduct a couple points from him for him, denying that he was prog for so many years. He's finally come around. He's finally realized that, some of my records really were, in fact, prog. But Ian Anderson comes in at number 7.
They all were.
Sense. They were.
Yeah.
I never heard one that wasn't.
No, I mean, he definitely was one of those people like, well, I don't think it's prog, and this isn't a concept album, so I'll write a concept album. How more prog
even
can
back
that be?
in the 70s was prickly before they even had a name, prog. He was like, oh, it's not a concept album. Why do you care? I mean, seriously, Ian, why do you care if anyone thinks it's a concept album or not? Why should you care? The only thing you should care about is that people are buying it and they're liking it. It was just weird to me. But Ian Anderson,
you're right,
number 7. Love him. I love him so much. But here we go at number 6. Yeah, man, these next two are victims of their band's own success. At number 6 is Bill Bruford. And honestly, you can make a case that he should be on this mountain.
He's in a lot of ways, number 1 for me, really, in some ways, just because he played with everyone and he was just like the go-to hired drummer. And so much about prog is the drums.
He's the man. He's the man. I mean, how do you keep him off? I mean, this is the problem. Not only was he the drummer for the greatest band in the history of mankind, I rate him my favorite drummer of all time, ahead of Neil Peart and Mike Portnoy, who would be 2 and 3 in close succession. But that's a whole different video. But, you got so many other geniuses in your band that it's just it's rough, man. He played in Casey. He played in Genesis. He played with National Health. He's just the one of a kind, greatest drummer of all time, Bill Bruford. Sadly,
did you just say he's one of a kind?
Yeah,
I see the reference. I see the pun.
Hey, man,
yes.
His music feels good to me. That's all I know.
It's the person or whatever. Art imitates life. But
he's just awesome. It's Dr. Bill Bruford. He even came out of retirement a month ago. He played one song at the John Wetton tribute concert. But there is not going to be a revival to Bill Bruford's career. Do not expect him to go on tour anytime soon. But he's at number 6, and that breaks my heart that Bill Bruford will not be on the mountain, man.
He should be. I saw him live once with Earthworks. It was great. But all the crowd wanted King Crimson songs, and he's like, I'm not playing any King Crimson. Sorry.
Yeah, it's tears are starting to flow, but it's also because number 5 is it's the hardest, most painful cut. It's the final cut. The 5th guy, the guy that gets like Crazy Horse gets a little unfinished statue like a mile and a half away from Mount Rushmore that nobody goes to. The Crazy Horse Award goes to Chris Squire, man. And it's close. Between number 4 and 5 was so incredibly close.
I put him at number 2 on my list, so you
can't be blamed, Cody. Myself, Wayne. We could have given him that extra vote he would have needed to make it. Sorry, Chris.
I
still love you.
There is no path to the mountain for Chris Squire because, sadly, boys and girls, I agree with the top 4, and this was before I tallied the scores. I actually made a final decision on who the top 4 was going to be, and you fools got it just right, man. And thus the dilemma ensued. But at number 4, so close. 5, 4, and 3, real close. But anyway,
going in my head who's going to be, but go ahead.
It's Peter Gabriel at number 4. Peter Gabriel at number 4.
He made mine.
Officially, get the chisels out, Pete. You're going down the mountain. There we go. We're chiseling away. Pete's face is on the mountain. Yeah, 1 down, 3 to go. And it's not because I have dictatorial powers here. It is merely because the people get 1 vote. I get 1 vote. So guess what? All these are counted twice. That's just how it is. I'm sorry. At number 3, just edging out Pete. It's got to be John Anderson. Get the chisels out. Get the hard machinery out. We're carving John's name in the mountain. I don't have great graphics like Andy Edwards had on his Mount Rushmore video where, he had to face Teddy Roosevelt morph into Frank Zappa or something. We're not doing that. We're just getting sound effects. Anyway, so that's number 3. The great John Anderson. Anybody got a problem with him being on the mountain?
No, believe me, it was like cutting corners. Like I only picked one guy from each band, right? And so if I had to edge John Anderson out for Chris Squire, I did that on my list, right? But John Anderson is equally as deserving of being there, if you ask me.
No.
So even the John Evangelis stuff is excellent, and he's just all around super talented guy.
He's the voice of Yes, who's the most well-known prog band, so it makes sense.
He is the voice
I contend that prog, a lot of prog aficionados, many times they and John himself suffered from imposter syndrome. They talk about how he was afraid to even call himself a musician till close to the edge, where finally he realized that he was a musician. He could call himself that, even though he wasn't, classically trained in the Royal Academy or this, that, or the other thing. It didn't matter, because I will contend, and I will still contend, that to this day, the best musician with the best musical mind, and yes, was not Chris. It wasn't Rick. It wasn't Steve. The guy with the most advanced musical mind was John. He just couldn't, he couldn't explain what a semiquaver was, or what, modal harmony was, or tonal this, that. He didn't know, the words, but he understood the music, man. And he still does. Point. John Anderson, number 3.
He drove the artwork and what Yes really was more than any of the other members, actually, just because he did.
He just gets it, man. Yep. His brain just.
He's from another planet. He's from another planet, or he was channeling another planet.
John.
Yep.
And you can't have the Mount Rushmore of Prog without the smiling face of John Anderson. So, we got the chisels out. We're carving it right now at number 2.
He's the Sun Tower Ass King, Saul Duke Elias, whatever. He's got it all.
Got it up there, man. And it's all in the brochure. When you come through the gates at the national park, they'll be playing Tales from Topographic Oceans on a loop. Here's your money. Here are the faces. The third face you're going to see is none other than the great Keith Emerson.
Yep.
And I agree wholeheartedly with my viewers. Keith Emerson, you could make a case that, Fripp invented prog. Well, he did not.
He was at the Nice before that, right? I think.
Yeah, the Nice was earlier. So was Procol Harum. So was Clouds. So was Moody Blues. There's a lot of stuff going on, man. It wasn't just the Court of the Crimson King appeared and the world was a different place. Obviously, it was the most important album in the formation of our beloved genre.
He's responsible for merging classical music with rock music. Really,
he is, man, and he's emo. I mean, I remember I had a piano teacher who was convinced that if Keith Emerson had committed himself to classical music, that he would have been as good as Franz Liszt. One of the greatest keyboard players of all time. In fact, Keyboard Magazine, I think back in the 70s, did a list of the top 10 keyboard players of all time. The only rock guy, the only 20th century guy actually was emo. And his impact on the genre is just from the Nice to ELP, second to none. He's the greatest. I love Keith Emerson, but
he's incredible.
Anyway, if you were keeping score, I think you probably figured out the final name we're carving into that mountain, the final face we're carving into it, and it's Robert Fripp. It has to be Robert Fripp. Probably the most important single figure in prog rock is probably Robert Fripp, and the most respected. Even kids today, they respect Robert Fripp. They can still play Rock at Rio. They can still connect if they were to, come back from the dead if they wanted to. I think they're dead. Do you think King Crimson's ever coming back, Kyle?
I don't know. I think that it probably seemed like it was done a few years ago, but there's just like it never in terms of the interest never dies. So if it's not with Robert, it might be with some of the other members that Robert gives his blessing to. That would be my
That'll
only
definitely
guess.
happen.
Yeah.
I could definitely see that.
There was 21st Century Schizoid band. I don't know if Jocko Jazzik would want to revive that if Robert's not up for that.
Yeah,
You know,
I'm sure there's going to be something. In fact, I've been hearing some rumors that there's definitely something going on. In
the fact
Crimson
that
world.
he's active like on YouTube with his wife all the time, he still wants to play music. So unless he's going to do like the crafty guitar stuff again, maybe the Frippatronics. I don't know.
Man, I seen him on YouTube, and he was playing a Korn song. He was playing a Korn song on the guitar with his wife singing. I'm like, oh man, wait till this gets to the prog guys who, I mean, maybe in this genre, maybe some people don't know or listen to Korn. I do personally, but maybe this will, open up doors to other styles of music for some people, right?
Hey, I got an opinion on Korn.
Sure, let's
How many bands can you name that created their own unique sound that no one else had ever come up with? How many? There's not many, a handful. Nobody sounded like Korn. They created their own thing, man, and that's good and bad because it was Korn right away.
Yeah, I mean, you had others like Faith No More and Rage Against the Machine doing something similar, but yeah, they were really the definitive nu metal group. So you're probably right.
They just had a very unique, distinct sound that. For good or for bad, you knew it was Korn within a half a second. Anyway, we're going to recap here. Wayne had Frank Zappa, David Gilmour, Phil Collins, and Kate Bush. Outstanding. Definitely going the populist route. And then on the absolute opposite end of the spectrum, you have Kyle going, the path less traveled with Jimmy Necco, Casey Crescentia, Jim Matheos, and Kevin Gilbert. I love it. Fantastic. In fact, I had no idea who Jimmy Necco was until you DM'd me last week with that. I had to check it out. Once I figured out it was from ours, and I remembered who they were, but I didn't know the name.
You like Muse, so a lot of people that always say they compare them to Muse, even though they were around before Muse. But
you were great. Yeah,
not I love Muse, MUSE.
Oh,
the Matt Bellamy project. So he's kind of like Matt Bellamy in some ways, but
that's a good topic. Muse. Yeah. Who do you prefer, Mew or Muse?
Oh God, I love Muse.
I love them both. I think they're both amazing. Actually, I love Muse.
I have a story about that because.
Okay.
They're both great.
Well, anyway, and then Cody.
I love Mew to death. Anyway, sorry to off.
Cody went with Mike Portnoy, Chris Squire, Robert Fripp, and Peter Gabriel.
Yeah.
Which meant that Robert Fripp and Peter Gabriel were the only two with 3 votes, as me and the people all had the same top 4, which means that the Mount Rushmore of Prog looks like this. It's Robert Fripp, it's Keith Emerson, it's John Anderson, and it's Peter Gabriel. And I feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, me too.
Just to clarify, Scott, so those were your 4 picks too, right?
They were, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Right,
so, I was going to do something cute and maybe like cheat a little bit, but the people are right sometimes, man. Sometimes they vote for the right guy.
Scott, I think that happens for a reason. Yep.
Scott, I think that this shows how similar a taste that you and I actually have. So you and I actually picked 2 of the same 4.
We did. Yeah. Out of the thousands and thousands of people, we could have picked 2 out of the 4 were the same. That is amazing.
We're all men of good taste around here, right? we're all humans of good taste.
Yep.
It's just amazing how on YouTube you tend to attract yourself, right? My audience is kind of me, like different versions of me in different alternate universes. So
I get it.
Hey, man, absolutely. So that was a lot of fun. Wayne, what do you got going on your channel or channels this week?
Multiple. This week, I thought about doing this for a while, and you have reaction channels that do single song reactions, full album reactions. I'm thinking of doing full discography reactions.
Okay,
wow, boy.
Do a lot of bands, breaks up a lot of the backlog. And like also, me and Cody have been touching base. We're probably going to be doing, I think, next week, a rock and metal stream.
There you go.
If you guys want in on that, feel free to shoot me a message. Scott, Kyle, you can welcome to join us if you want to.
Cool.
If the timing works out, maybe.
That's right. Awesome. Cody, well, I guess, Wayne touched on some of that, but what else you got going on Brockway's Vinyl Bites this week?
Pretty much what Wayne just what he just touched on. I'm going to be doing a live stream with him next weekend on Saturday night. It'll be 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, right, Wayne?
Yeah.
And
what was going to happen last night?
It was going to happen last night. I ended up having to. I know, some obligations and things kind of happened, and I just kind of went and did a solo dolo one myself. But just to keep the people happy, right? But
there you go. You got to feed the beast, man. You got to feed
I'm going to be uploading. I mean, it is Christmas this week, so I'm probably not going to have the same crazy schedule I have as the last 2 weeks. But I am gonna. I just finished up the 12 Days of Progmas for those who didn't see that, and I'm actually going to probably do a room tour video as well.
Nice. That I want to see.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
That I want to see.
I want to see those videos of your record store, Cody.
Exactly. Yeah. You need to redo it. People don't go back and watch your old videos. If you want them to watch something and it didn't get the numbers you wanted, redo it, repackage it, give it a new thumbnail, give it a new title, give it a different run length, and watch it fly. Kyle, what do you got going on, man?
Well, if you saw some of these little people, I just did the big 2023 albums of the year stream with some friends of mine, and a lot of people are noticing that. I'm really thankful. If you did find that, thank you. If you're not, you can check it out. It's an hour and a half, and the friends saying we talked about 2024 albums, so we're planning to do another one for 2024. But I'm going to do my own honorable mentions, and then I'm going to get back to the albums of the year stuff. I left off with 1978, so I'm doing that, and so new music stuff that I just want to talk about that I haven't talked about on the channel. Like some of these bands I've been introduced to recently, like Dirty Loops, and this album. I talked about the Pneumatic Transit last week. That album, I'm going to do a review for that soon too, because that's a record I've been listening to a lot and really enjoying. So.
Nice.
Thank you.
Well, I don't know if you were around, but something I think we're going to do every Sunday during the Prog stream is just talk about albums that we've been listening to during the week, whether we do a formal review or not, or really have a whole lot to say about it. And I got 2 records that I've been listening to nonstop. The new Angra album, man, is so melodic. It just hits all the right buttons for me. The dude wails like Bruce Dickinson, and he screams like Ronnie James Dio. It's just awesome, man. And
I love those guys.
I have to listen to it. I love the early Angra. Then after Andre Montos left, the late Andre Montos, I stopped listening to him. They sounded more power metal to me, but it's been over 20 years since then, so I should probably.
It's been hit or miss, but this one here is a whole lot of fun. I can't stop listening to it. The other record is Green Lung. I know Notes Review's been talking about that on their channel again. So
that's the other thing is there's all these lists that I haven't gone through a lot of albums, including on my video, like the Voyager record I haven't listened to. So I want to go through that. But Nathan on Shuffle did a list of albums I haven't heard of. I need to check out. So I got a lot of homework, and I'm actually checking out the Zappa list from last week, which I listened to a little bit today.
Well, there's that's the cool thing about this time of year is all the year-end lists come out.
Totally.
And, I'm sure I'll be adding 2 records like, wow, how did I miss this one? How did I miss that one during the year? And this is the year to do it. This is the time of the year to do it, rather, so that you start 2024 fresh and you don't have to listen to that old stuff, man, right? That old stuff from 2023, man, that old garbage. None but new stuff to start the new year off. Anyway, just want to real quick clarify, because I was obviously not thinking straight and got the dates wrong. Next Sunday, which is New Year's Eve, December 31st, we're doing best album closers to close out the new year. I think that's a really good call. So we're going to do that. And then after that, January 7th will be our Gentle Giant. We're going to rank the Gentle Giant albums and talk about their awesomeness, because they're just one of my favorite bands of all time. And any excuse to talk about Gentle Giant for 90 minutes, I'm all in favor of. Anyway, that's all I got for you, man. You guys have a Merry Christmas. Wayne, thank you. Cody, Kyle, this was another great live stream. The numbers look good as far as concurrent viewers. So always our loyal people in the Peanut Gallery, Ed, Mr. Wondrous, Jeff Shilka, Ian, Stephen Hicks. Everybody's here, man. Jerry Barber. Good looking crowd, man. We love you, Peoria. Yeah, we'll see you next year.
Let's take a moment here before we go and to show a moment of gratitude towards Scott for bringing us all together the way he has here on the Prog Corner.
Yeah,
all of our viewers and us on the panels too. We love you, man. God bless you, Scott.
It's me thanking you guys. You know, if you recall, I actually went back and the Sunday Prog stream #1, Wayne, that was just me. That was a solo join. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
You came in the second
#2, I believe.
And it changed everything, man. So I appreciate you guys. You guys keep the numbers coming in. You guys keep the program fresh. Because let's face it, you know, nobody wants to hear me for an hour and a half talk about anything. But with you guys, it's just been awesome. And I really look forward to working with you guys through 2024. But we got one more show before that happens. It's our great New Year's Eve show, the best album closer. So be there. Anyway, I love you guys.
Oh, Scott,
before East, and Wayne's got one more thing to say.
Just so everyone knows, the metal stream me and Cody are doing next week are going to be the top 6 metal masterpieces.
Yeah.
That's going to be good. That's going to be a good show.
And when is your Sea of Tranquility show, Scott?
I think we're going to shoot it later this week, so that should probably air Friday.
Okay. And are you going to do a 2024 preview? And are we going to just do that in the stream? I don't know. You have plans for 2024? It's still up in the air.
Your plans? You're talking to the wrong guy, man.
And I did vote for you, Scott. So
yeah,
I did too. Scott, you're living the dream, man.
Vote for me. Vote for me on Sea of Tranquility. He's got a poll going there for best contributor. And vote on Prog Magazine, Unsung Heroes. You can vote up until January 2nd over there. Unsung Heroes is the category. And I think we should all win it. But hey, we're gonna try to consolidate our votes around the Prog Corner. Vote for me. We're not going to win, but it'd be a lot of fun just shocking the world and doing what we do. Wayne, thank you so much for all that you do. Cody, you you elevate this game to a whole nother level. Thank you so much. And Kyle, well, another appearance from Kyle, Wayne. What do you think about that?
I love it.
Well, I love it too. Kyle knows what he's talking about and definitely brings a whole different perspective on everything that we do here. So anyway, next week on the Prog Corner, we'll probably do, what am I doing? I'm working on a couple episodes here. I think I'm going to delve into the wonderful world of gray area prog. And there's so many different little, areas where prog and metal overlap, or areas where jazz and prog overlap, or areas where indie rock and prog overlap. My first episode, I think it's going to probably be Tuesday, is going to be on post-punk and prog and how they overlap. It doesn't seem like they would, but in preparing for this episode, man, some of my favorite bands occupy that exact space
like
between post-punk and prog. Obviously, XTC comes to mind, but there's so many. Think about it, man. Think about how many bands are like in that time frame occupying that space. Going to be a whole lot of fun. And like I said, I can go a whole lot of different directions with it. If the numbers are good, I'll do some more. But and then I'm going to do my review of the great Monarch Trail album, 4 sides. Really love it. It's a great, great record. If you like Genesis, and if you're Canadian, man, you got to support your fellow Canadian. We're 50-50 split here on my screen. I got the Americans on the left and the Canadians on the right. But anyway, guys, I'm going to sign off if it's all right with you.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Yep.
All right, Merry Christmas to all of you guys. Wayne, Cody, Kyle, thank you so much. I love all you guys in the Peanut Gallery and all the people watching later on demand. God save the King. Peace in the Middle East. God save Chucky. And this time of year in particular, he needs your particular attention. King Charles III, he's not right in the head, man. You know why? Because he needs your saving. He needs to be saved. Save King Chucky. Save him right now. Save him. God save the king, boys and girls. See you next time.
No.